These are Ukrainian drones, small, almost imperceptible in the air, created by the hands of our engineers and volunteers. They incinerate Russian occupiers every single day on every meter of our land. From the fierce battles in the ruins of Bakhmut and Avdiivka to the scorching steppes of Zaporizhzhia, from the forests of Kreminna to the flanks of Pokrovsk and Chasiv Yar, across all the hottest sectors of the front line, Ukrainian FPV drones have become the symbol of inevitable retribution for the invaders. The sky over Ukraine has long ceased to be just a peaceful blue or an empty space. Today, it has transformed into a living, dynamic, and ruthless organism where every second decides fates on the battlefield. Modern warfare is changing right before our eyes, shattering old military doctrines and creating entirely new rules of the game in real time. And at the very center of this global technological revolution stand Ukrainian drone pilots. What we are witnessing on our screens is not just a change in the tactics of individual units. The true ruler of the battlefield is the one who controls the micro-airspace, where every second of flight can alter the course of an entire military operation. Unmanned aerial vehicles have undergone a lightning-fast evolution from simple tools of additional surveillance to a fully independent, distinct branch of the military that dictates the terms of engagement. In this confrontation, the Ukrainian drone fleet has created an entirely unique ecosystem where technological flexibility and rapid decision-making completely neutralize the enemy's numerical advantage. In previous wars, a soldier's main salvation and protection was camouflage. The so-called fog of war reliably concealed the movement of equipment, allowed for the organization of surprise ambushes, enabled secret rotations, and gave units the opportunity to regroup under the cover of night darkness or the dense greenery of forest belts. Today, this luxury has been completely destroyed. With the emergence and massive implementation of high-quality thermal imaging cameras on standard reconnaissance drones, the front line has become entirely transparent. Any enemy movement is noticed instantly, and any static position is sooner or later mapped digitally. The first and most critical stage of this aerial revolution was the total elimination of tactical rear areas. Thanks to long-range reconnaissance wings and multi-rotor copters patrolling the sky around the clock, the enemy has lost the ability to move undetected, even at a distance of dozens of kilometers from the line of contact. Aerial reconnaissance has turned into a continuous conveyor belt of data collection. Multispectral cameras and powerful optics capture the occupier's equipment the exact moment it leaves the hangars, track ammunition resupply routes, and expose camouflaged command posts. A modern reconnaissance drone is not just a camera in the sky. It is an intellectual center that instantly transmits target coordinates into a unified fire control system. Any attempt by the adversary to accumulate forces for an assault is intercepted at the deployment stage, as the eyes in the sky witness the formation of every single column. Russian military forces try to invent new ways of protection by using special anti-drone cloaks that are supposed to hide body heat radiation, hiding in abandoned houses, or burying themselves deep underground. However, under the watchful and relentless gaze of experienced Ukrainian operators, all these efforts prove to be in vain. Pilots learn to notice the smallest details, unnatural geometric shapes amidst the chaos of ruins, a barely perceptible rustle of dry grass, or fresh tracks on the ground from wheels or boots. Drones see through any deception, turning the once insidious concept of a surprise enemy assault into an impossible task. While reconnaissance drones act as the eyes and brains of the Ukrainian defense, high-speed FPV kamikaze drones have become its sharp and deadly teeth. The concept of their application is striking in its simplicity and at the same time terrifying in its effectiveness. A lightweight, maneuverable racing quadcopter is equipped with an explosive charge and directed by the pilot directly into the target at speeds that often exceed 100 kilometers per hour. The economic imbalance of this weapon is simply staggering. One small drone, the cost of which is less than a regular modern smartphone, is capable of completely burning a multi-million-dollar enemy tank, a heavy artillery system, an anti-aircraft missile system, or an armored personnel carrier. However, it is not just about the money, but about an unprecedented level of precision. Conventional artillery requires lengthy work by spotters, complex calculations, and firing many shells for adjustments, which gives the target a chance to escape. An FPV drone, controlled by a person wearing special digital goggles, acts like a surgical scalpel. It is capable of catching up with a high-speed motorcycle on a winding road, flying directly into the open hatch of an armored vehicle, or masterfully entering the narrow entrance of an underground dugout. This turns every single strike into a personal verdict for the occupiers. However, the true terror for enemy logistics and armor has become the strike unmanned systems. Heavy quadcopters operating in the dark hours of the day have turned the night into a time of absolute hunting. Equipped with modern thermal imagers and heavy cumulative or fragmentation munitions, these devices methodically destroy tanks, self-propelled artillery units, and fortified dugouts. The enemy is forced to hide their equipment deep in forest belts and under thick layers of camouflage nets. But the precision of drone drops allows them to strike even the least protected areas of the vehicles, such as engine compartments or thin sections of the upper armor. Parallel to this, the massive use of high-speed and maneuverable FPV drones has made it possible to create a dense barrier through which no assault group can break. These guided projectiles act proactively, striking targets in motion, pursuing assault troops on motorcycles, and destroying the enemy's light automotive transport directly at the moment of an attempted breakthrough of the defensive line. An important part of the strategy of Ukrainian units has become the complete logistical suffocation of the enemy. To conduct combat operations, an enemy army must constantly receive fuel, ammunition, and fresh manpower. Recognizing this, Ukrainian drones have staged a real hunt along logistical routes. The enemy was forced to abandon large vehicle columns near the front line due to their immediate destruction. Instead, they began using light and fast transport, civilian pickups, ATVs, and motocross bikes, attempting to break through to the trenches in small groups. But Ukrainian birds adapted even faster. Roads and fields turned into continuous death zones. A vivid example of such systematic work was a case near Avdiivka, when pilots discovered a huge hidden pile of Russian anti-tank mines stacked right next to the road for subsequent mining. The drone immediately hovered over the target and began dropping grenades. The first two attempts yielded no results, but the third precise drop provoked a colossal detonation that destroyed everything around. These mines could have stopped Ukrainian armor, but thanks to the ingenuity of the pilots, they turned into dust. A separate and extremely fierce stage of the technological race has been the confrontation in the realm of electronic warfare. When the enemy began massively deploying signal jamming systems, attempting to sever the connection between the pilot and the device, Ukrainian engineers responded by creating fundamentally new technological solutions. Smart drones with autonomous homing systems utilizing artificial intelligence algorithms and computer vision appeared on the battlefield. Such a device requires human assistance only at the stage of target detection and lock-on. Once the object is secured, the drone transitions into automatic guidance mode. Even if EW systems completely burn out the radio airwaves and the pilot loses the video feed, the drone's onboard computer independently calculates the flight trajectory and corrects the course until the moment of a precise hit. Another revolutionary step was the introduction of fiber optic communication lines, where control is transmitted via an ultra-thin physical cable unrolling in the air. Such drones completely ignore any radio interference. allowing the destruction of even those objects protected by the most powerful mobile jamming complexes. Today, the battle for airspace has expanded beyond strikes on ground targets and grown into a full-scale war for dominance directly in the sky. Aerial interceptions of enemy reconnaissance aircraft have become a high-tech art. Ukrainian interceptor drones have learned to track and shoot down Russian reconnaissance wings like the Orlan or Zala at altitudes of several kilometers. This drastically reduces the effectiveness of enemy artillery, depriving it of the ability to see our positions. But the Ukrainian drone fleet is no longer limited to the line of contact alone. Today, Ukrainian strategic range drones have brought the war directly to the territory of the aggressor state. Oil refineries, military airfields, ammunition depots, and command centers, hundreds and thousands of kilometers away from our border, are burning under the strikes of Ukrainian aerial systems. Previously, the enemy felt safe deep in their rear areas. But now, every strategic object in Russia is in the crosshairs. Blazing distillation columns and strategic bombers destroyed on their own airfields are the direct and painful consequence of how Ukrainian technological thought is rewriting the course of history. This entire Titanic air fleet operates as a single, finely tuned mechanism, where each type of drone performs its specific role. The core philosophy of this approach is that iron must fight instead of humans. Ukraine is resisting an enemy that possesses a massive mobilization resource and absolutely does not count its own losses, throwing infantry into meat wave assaults. We cannot afford to fight the same way. Every ground robot that, under the cover of thick fog, evacuates a wounded soldier from the battlefield, every remote machine gun turret holding the defense of a trench, and every FPV drone that destroys an enemy nest is a saved life of a Ukrainian defender. These iron birds take the hardest hit upon themselves. They protect our most valuable treasure, our people. They provide confidence that the warriors holding the front today across all the hottest directions will be able to return home, hug their children, and live in a free, strong country. Ukrainian drones have rewritten the history of military science, proving that the future belongs to intelligence, innovation, and the courage of those who rule the sky. The sky belongs to the innovators. The sky belongs to the defenders.